What's up, guys? Uh, let's get to the point. Ruben Villa versus Emmanuel Navarete. All right, this fight should be good because it's gonna be a clash of contrasting styles, guys. To be honest, I don't know um, what to expect. Emmanuel Navarete is getting a nice little push. He's getting a nice little push to make a championship run in the future. And Ruben Villa is a guy who's definitely stepping up in competition, guys. Um, Definitely the underdog because he comes from a smaller promotional company. This is co-promoted. It's top rank. The top rank house fighter is Emmanuel Navarrete, but they are working with Thompson Boxing Promotion, which is where Ruben Villa signed his contract after the amateurs. By the way, Ruben Villa, amazing amateur career. He had over 100 fights and I think he had under 10 losses. He actually beat Shakur Stevenson. I don't know if he beat him once or twice, but he does have some wins over Shakur Stevenson. For the Olympic trials, I know Stevenson qualified. He beat him, and I think they made it so they can both go. But Villa decided to sign with Thompson Boxing, and then Shakur Stevenson decided to pursue, and he got a silver medal. And lo and behold, they're both at top rank. Well, Ruben Villa is fighting at top rank. He's not signed, but Shakur Stevenson is. He signed the top rank. Now, let's get down to it. The nitty gritty, right? Emmanuel Navarrete is a come forward fighter, very aggressive with a high knockout ratio. So much so that he's actually the favorite in this fight. I think Bovada has him at a plus or a minus 300, meaning you have to bet $300 to get $300 to get $100 back. Now, with someone that in the amateurs went 100, let's say 100 fights and 10 losses, or 100 wins, 10 losses, let's say that. I don't see him being a or a plus 225 underdog. I actually see this fight being a lot closer than what it's projecting. Now, the only thing is that Ruben Villa does not have, how can I say this? He does not have a lot of knockouts on his resume. As a matter of fact, that's probably one of the things that he lacks is that knockout punch or that one punch knockout, right? But I've said this before about boxing and what happens. They go and prove me wrong. Someone goes, clips them, knocks them out completely. It's just something that it's a part of the game. You get hit hard enough, clean enough, you're going to go down. He is a counter fighter, very defensive minded fighter. He likes to counter, he likes to work off his jab, and if you start going back, that's when it's a problem because he's a guy that's typically the one retreating, picking his counter shots. If that happens at any point during this fight, I believe it's because Emmanuel Navarrete is hurt or because he just can't figure him out stylistically and can't find him. Emmanuel Navarrete, on the other hand, oh, and by the way, Ruben Villa is 18-0 with only 5 knockouts. His last knockout, just FYI, came in 2018, June 30th of 2018. Okay, his first knockout came in his professional debut, that was in 2016 against a guy that was 1-1. His second knockout came against a guy that was debuting. His third knockout was a guy that was 2-0, so they were relatively young in their career. Fourth knockout, a guy that was 2-2, and then his fifth knockout against a guy that was 7-2 with 2 draws. Now, the only thing that's a little concerning to me is that he fought a guy that was 7-15, unanimous decision. Granted, it was only a 4-round fight, but he has a lot of records in there that you would think they don't have any business being there. A guy that was 58-44, unanimous decision, 6 rounds. But at the same time, someone that's been in there close to almost 100 fights, you would think he'd know at least how to survive. So Ruben Villa, very good defensive fighter. Amateurs, he thrived. I give him a shot. Especially if he can make Emmanuel Navarrete back down. Now, on the other hand, there's always two sides to the odds, right? The reason why Emmanuel Navarrete is a favorite is because this guy's a bull. All right, this guy is just come forward. I'm gonna throw punches, and he's very how can I say, unorthodox, stylistically wise. Some of his punches you expect the jab to come from the top, so you cover up top, and the punch is coming, boom, so you're covering. Some of his punches don't necessarily travel straight. Sometimes they'll come up weird angles, come up from under. He does this weird thing, guys. He does this weird thing where he's coming forward and he'll fake a right hand, and then he'll come over all the way around with the left hook. Now, when he does that, he leaves himself so wide open. So I'm anticipating of Ruben Villa kind of retreating, anchoring his front foot, and then coming up over the top with his own right hand and mix him up right when he tries to feint that right hand and come over with the left hook. He does it a lot. He does it with, and then he fakes that right hand, and then that left hand comes over from different angles, from the side, from under, and he'll do it with the left hand too. This is a guy that kind of flattens himself out wide sometimes, and kind of just starts throwing punches, and whatever weight his body's carrying him, he'll throw punches because that's what he does. He's a come forward fighter, very aggressive, and he has success chopping you down, and even towards the later rounds, he can get you out of there. His power does carry. A lot of it is just because of pressure. A lot of it is because he hits hard. He does have a knockout in the 11th round. So he has one in the 12th round. So he actually has, and I've counted 3 so far, and he has three knockouts that have gone past the 10th round, okay, or on the 10th round. So his power does carry. It does have a lot to do. He is heavy-handed, but with that comes him being slow. He can start off a little flat. He's just a flat-footed fighter. He comes forward. Once he finds his rhythm, he starts moving his head a little bit, and he starts throwing off that head movement. But the thing with Ruben Villa is that he's a counter puncher. He throws hard, and he'll throw back at you. It's going to be very, very interesting to see if Ruben Villa can actually hold him off of him, weather the storm, and make him fight his fight, or better yet, have him fight going backwards, because I don't think Emmanuel Navarete is a guy that has been forced to fight backwards. I haven't seen all his tape his whole career, but at the same time, I've seen clips, pieces, I've studied him. I feel like to know that he reminds me a lot of a Alfredo Angulo, a young Alfredo Angulo, not the slower version, Antonio Margarito type guy, where he's just coming forward. He does find his rhythm from time to time and moves his head a little bit more, I will say that. And the punches aren't straight punches. Sometimes some of them are looping, some of them come from under. He just has a knack for knowing how to throw a punch and making it land. So that's why it's so interesting. Because Ruben Villa, with all the fights and all the experience he's had in the amateurs, is going to face something that he's probably never seen in Navarete. But with seeing Shakur Stevenson before and seeing him plenty of times, that speed, he's well experienced and very seasoned for this. I think his career has led up to this when he decided to bypass the Olympics and come and turn pro. I think this is something that he envisioned, fighting in a top rank card. It's something that he's worked for his whole life, obviously, like Emmanuel Navarete. They've made a career out of this. But it's something that he feels like it's a long time coming. He has so many fights under his belt, so his record might be 18-0. Emmanuel Navarete might have 32 fights, 31-1, right? So it kind of seems like a mismatch in the pro style. But with all the amateur fights, I want to say that Ruben Villa has potentially fought more rounds than an Emmanuel Navarete. I haven't really looked into his amateur record. I just know Ruben Villa was heavily favored here in the amateur system because he was a local kid here in Southern California, in California, and you saw him in a lot of the national tournaments. So with that being said, let's get back down to the odds. The odds are minus 300 to 100 for Emmanuel Navarete. What I would say to that is I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't risk $300 to get $100 because I think Ruben Villa, with over 100 amateur bouts, is a capable fighter. Now, it does seem a little more enticing for you to select the 225. You bet 100, you get 225. That seems like the smarter bet. Now, what kind of money are we playing with? Is this a big bet? Is this a serious bet? Is this bet for extra cash? What's your bankroll? All plays a factor into this. To me, I'm not going to set this aside and be like, okay, I have to bet on this fight, and this is one of my locks. No, I never leave it to a fight of this magnitude for me, as far as uncertainty with certain fighters, to bet, majority of my bankroll. What I do is I manage, and this is kind of like a throwaway bet, a fun bet. I would even do a prop bet. Maybe the fight won't go the distance. Once the odds do come out for that, you can do something of under 10.5 rounds, right? If I'm not mistaken, that's where it's at. And if it's under, it might be like a plus 300, and that way you can cover if Emmanuel Navarrete does overwhelm a Ruben Villa with this pressure, or if Ruben Villa does start countering and starts breaking them down and gets them at it at the end of the fight. Going the distance is kind of where it's leaning at, last I checked. So it's the odds aren't as favorable for that, but that's what Vegas is anticipating. And for some reason, Vegas always knows or is really close to them. Look at odds of NFL games, NBA games. Look at how much players should be winning by. Teams should be winning by. And sometimes they'll hit it right in the head. How they do that, I don't know. But they are anticipating this fight going the distance. Vegas might know something, they might not, because these two are kind of. You look up Ruben V and you can only see highlights. You can only see some fights. You can't see like detailed tape on him, whereas Emmanuel Navarrete you can. And that's where I saw that he does open himself up, but he does come forward. So it's going to be one of those things. Whoever can fight, and I feel like I've broken record. Whoever can fight at their distance, at their pace, whoever executes, which is one of the main things in boxing. If you can execute your game plan better than your opponent, you should be able to win. Now, here's the thing. Ruben Villa is a Thompson boxing fighter. Emmanuel Navarrete is a top rank. Will that play a role in this fight? Can it potentially be a draw? We don't know. I don't want to sit here and say yes, that politics can play a big role, especially if we're putting some of the money on the line. But I do know they had a Giovanni fight that was a Thompson boxing. It was a close fight. They gave it to Giovanni. Some say it was gifted, some say it was wrong. So we've seen the Thompson promoter get the benefit of the doubt before. This fight's very interesting, very interesting. I like Ruben Villa. I always like to go for the boxer, but it's all going to depend if he can fend him off. If he can fend him off, he should be able to outbox him. Emmanuel Navarrete is very, very tough. He'll take your best punches to give you his. Now, he does have a loss on his record. I think it was a 4-round fight, and I think it was disputable, but it's going to be a good one. Contrasting styles, opposite styles, and I feel like the winner, the one who executes the best, lands the cleaner punches. And I'm interested to see if Ruben Villa can tag Emmanuel Navarrete enough and have enough steam in those punches so that he can actually make him fight going backwards. That's when I would see, does Emmanuel Navarrete have a plan B? You know what I mean? Whether start throwing jabs to the body or giving them different angles. If he just comes in here, bulls through them, and gets them out, then we'd have to find another fight where we have to see Navarrete adjust and really dig deep. But this is going to be a good fight because I have faith in Ruben Villa that he's going to make it very, very competitive. He has all the potential to pull off the upset. He has the potential to make it a fight as well. So the only thing is Ruben Villa, you do see him slick. He does get hit. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one pays out. I'm not taking the minus 300 for 100, and I'm not gonna put all my quarters in one basket. I would say look for a prop bet, look for the over under, something that's gonna give you a little bit more of a payout. Sprinkle a little bit in the draw just in case, and enjoy this fight. Whether you think it's gonna go the distance or you think it's going to end by knockout, sprinkle a little bit on that, and always sprinkle a little bit on in the draw when it's two different promotional companies and the fighters are fighting each other. That's just a little trick that I've learned to avoid, Navarrete by knockout, it's going to get me more money. Look at the Baranchink and Jose Zepeda fight that just happened last weekend. We knew it was going to be an exciting fight. I personally thought Baranchink was going to come in, and after he dropped him the first 2 times, I thought he was going to finish him. Lo and behold, Zepeda found his heart. He found his will to keep going forward, and he got the knockout. These these types of fights can bring out the best in some fighters and can make them realize that they can handle adversity. And if that's the case, if Ruben Villa starts getting hit and he starts hitting them back and he sees something, we might not see a so defensive Ruben Villa. Okay, so this is going to be a good fight. My pick, if I had to, I love the underdog. I love the California fighters. But I would say something along the lines of maybe the fight will go the distance or won't go the distance would be my bet. I'm not quite ready to hit the minus 300 for 100. Maybe I would bet 20, 40, maybe 50, something to win $100 on Ruben Villa. Something where the payout has more incentive because they both are capable fighters and they're both, some people say Manuel Navarete should be the next champ for years to come. And it just depends who you ask and what eye sees what. I do see a come forward fighter fighting a boxer, slick fox boxer that, if he has enough pop to get him off of him, he'll have a lot of success in this fight. But that's it for us today. We'll debrief. Comment at the bottom. Let me know what you guys think. When the fight happens, let me know. I love talking. I love interacting. And I just love talking wagers. To me, minus 300, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, is not worth it at all. Okay, I'm going to bet $300 to win 100. When Ruben Villa has had over 100 amateur fights, I'm not willing to put that and risking that after he's beat Shakur Stevenson in the amateurs twice. Like I said, I'm not willing to bet $300 to just win 100 on that. Maybe if it was a little bit more and I saw the records, if it was more, then yes, I'd go for it. But for now, knowing what Ruben Villa's accomplished in the amateurs, I'm not willing to bet those $300 that win 100. All right. So once again, this is the box office. Thank you for stopping by. Just my quick little suggestion. Remember, don't bet the house. This is strictly for fun, for entertainment purposes. I do this just because it adds a little extra excitement to the fights. It gets you thinking, like, what does this fighter have to do to win? What does this fighter have to do to win? What's harder? What's going to be harder? For Manuel Navarete to get a slick boxer out, or for Ruben Villa to outbox him and potentially get him out of there in the later? What's more likely to happen? So it makes you think in a different way when you are wagering, and that's what I like about it. But remember, strictly for entertainment purposes. These are not lock bets. These are just my suggestions, what I'm going to do. And as I mentioned, I'm not willing to do much with this fight, but the odds are there. We have updated odds with Kilbrook down there, Terrence Crawford. On this card, we also have a Brian Lua. We also have Elvis Rodriguez right on cue. Fights that should end up by knockout, to be honest. They're there to look good. If that's something that you guys want to, anytime in boxing you are getting punched in the face, just remember how much punching in the face can you take before you go down. When you're a minus 1,000, minus 5,000, I always assume the worst. So with that being said, it's going to be an interesting Friday of boxing. I hope you guys tune in, and I hope we get to talk about it after, guys. Take care. Drop down below who you think's going to win, how, and if you guys wagered any money. Take care, guys. The Boxing Office. Later.